what would you say was the key to you learning the language so well that a lot of people just, mistaken you for a native?
I think it's the very reason I was so young when I started. So I was acquiring my native language,
Mhm.
Polish, as a Polish person living in a Polish household in Poland where people spoke mostly Polish. I was acquiring that naturally. And thanks to the kindergarten classes, plays for like Mother's Day, but there were also like English performances. I was always part of that. I had to like break the fear of speaking English at a very young age.
Hmm.
I always loved the feeling of just being able to speak to other people. And I remember one moment when I was, I think, 6 years old, and I was traveling with my parents around Europe. We did it a lot. I was always exposed to so many different languages, and I always practiced them. So in Germany, I would speak a little German. In Italy, I would speak a little bit Italian. Yeah, I think that's the reason why I was so good at it, because I always saw
Hmm.
opportunities to speak and to connect and to just be able to understand what people are telling me. So that was just a natural obsession that I also had.
Okay, so you did get, like plenty of chances to use the language communicatively. So yeah, no, I do remember how terrifying it was for me to actually do so. But then at the same time, my nerdiness pushed me to understand the fact that I was living in a non-English speaking country, right? I understood that I would have to fight against the fact that nobody around me spoke English. I didn't have access to such a wonderful tool as most of our students do nowadays, which is the internet, right? I think, people just don't take it. I mean, don't take they could be just hooked on every time, I wouldn't say every second, but at the same time, like having some time off, I would just hop online and then start using language, because there's always somebody willing to talk to you, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there are weirdos out there, but I mean, I didn't really start learning English officially, until I was 17. I would say I was actually old already. By 17, you're almost an adult. Most of your muscles have already hardened. So people might not be able to pinpoint where I'm from because of the way that I sound, but I also know they wouldn't confuse me for a native speaker. However, and just like I tell each and every one of my students, having a native pronunciation is actually irrelevant if what you're looking for is communication
Yes.
and transferring the language or transmitting the language, which is actually what we should be going for, right? Now,
Yeah.
sounding like a native speaker, which, by the way, what even is a native speaker is another another
Yeah.
topic for another day. It's about being able to speak clearly, fluently, and then confidently. Like
Yes.
once you have those three pillars down, the rest is just the bells and whistles. Like yeah, you can start using idioms, you can start using complex language, phrasal verbs, things like that. The first thing we should focus on is on getting the message across, right?
Right.
Later, you can add
Right.
the bells and whistles, but hey, first, it's communication.